Alright, everybody. It's Portland Chess Shop here to bring you the chess action, and we have another 3-minute game. It looks like Shankland is up by 1 in the 3-minute. They tied. No, they didn't tie. Yeah, Shankland won in the 5-minute by 1 point, 4.5 to 3.5. So it is some exciting chess between Grandmaster Shankland, Grandmaster Hess, two of the strongest players in the U.S. Pawn goes to c5. The knight comes out. We see a modest opening where both players have fianchettoed their queenside bishop. Now the center is attacked with d4. I think both players have been playing d4, if I remember correctly. We've seen some Nimzo Indians, things like that. I don't think. Oh yeah, we have been seeing e4, and the response has been the Carol Khan by Shankland. So Hess decides to employ the d4-c4 setup to try to avoid that pesky Carol Khan, where tough to beat it. You know, it's like it's not that good, but it's like you can't find the way to beat it. You can't prove it. You know, that's always how I feel when I'm playing against the Carol Khan. Rook moves towards the center. Pawns are exchanged. Queens could be traded. Pawn takes back. 3 pawn islands for white. See that? Versus 2 for black. The bishops are exchanged. The rook takes. Now 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 5. It looks like black has won a pawn and has moved his queen to the corner where it controls a lot of squares and tries to trade. Actually wins a tempo. And this is pretty sweet. I've seen a few Grandmaster games recently where the queen goes to the corner at the right moment, and it's pretty awesome. So this queen is pretty good as well, though, attacking the g7 square. Potentially with this bishop could be a monster. Like, the knight moves checkmate. So this knight is actually pinned right now. So it looks like the rooks could be traded, because after like rook takes, bishop takes, queen c6, for example. That's why the knight decides to take back. Now the rooks could be exchanged. What's he going to do here? It looks like this queen is nasty. He's forced to play h3, and now we're going to see we could see a check here. And now the king is going to be forced to go here, and these pieces just look really awkward. Like, what about queen c2, for example? Attacks the bishop. The knight's still attacked. Probably forces this move. Wait, what about this? He almost has bishop d6 winning the game, right? Almost. So there's a check here. He created luft for his king. His king is also hiding in the corner. Now we see this check that I was talking about. This is a pretty good check, I think. Forces f4. g5 could be played. No, f7 is hanging. f7 is weak. f7 will be needed to be defended. We could see king g6 to defend it. But he could be leading his king into a trap if he plays that. Versus here, which is just too slow, I think, because the b6 pawn could fall. Oh yeah, you can't play king g6 and g5 both. Wow, close game. We see Shankland is in a bit of a think, but Shankland is pretty good at using his time appropriately, kind of like a marathon runner, just keeping a pace, while Hess slows down and speeds up at different points, and I think it's a little bit inconsistent. So here we have Hess. Let's see if he goes into another deep think. I think that's Shankland's one of his biggest advantages is time management so far in this match. Shankland is down a little bit of time. This square is attacked by the queen, but the queen takes on b6, defending and winning a pawn. Seems good. f7 could have been taken as well. No, it couldn't because this bishop would fall. The knight comes to the center, attacking the queen. It looks like this pawn can be taken. Wait, but he could have taken the bishop, but then this bishop falls. The knight takes here. Oh, that's sick. Pawn takes, bishop takes check, king back takes. That was a fast tactic by Shankland. He's going to take, and then he's going to go here if he can. But he can't quite yet. He goes here. He's going to have to control the square in front, but how does he control it? He doesn't really. I think it's over. Yeah, see? Now 4 pawns and a pawn. He's going to try to push the pass pawn No, he's going to centralize his king first. Control as many light squares as possible. He can't advance on the light squares, so he advances with the pawns on the light squares. Moves f6. He needs to advance this pawn. He retreats with the king in order to play g5. Shankland is pretty good at endgames, it seems like. So here g4 is played. So if he plays h4, then because of the weakness on f6, he won't be able to. Yeah, he'll lose, I think. So looks like Shankland could be lost in this position to me because he has to do something. But okay. One pawn is captured. Now it's two pawns, two pass pawns against one pass pawn and a bishop. That should be easy. You just defend the square in front and then advance the pawn. This is over. Right? Yeah. You just advance this pawn. This pawn is queening. And this pawn is not queening like nearly as fast. He even defends the bishop. And now he's going to push the pawn. But maybe that's not quite right. Nice. And then like if takes, then you just check and take here and then take here. Alright, Portland Chess Shop here to bring you the chess action. We have another match. It's 4-4 in the 3 minute. That means Shankland is up by 1 point in the full match, which means that this is a very close Blitz death match on chess.com today on March 31st, 2012. It is 1:41 p.m. and these guys have been battling for like an hour and a half. I've been commenting the whole thing. It's like a lot of chess. So the pawns are exchanged here. The bishop takes the knight. This knight is taken, and we have the bishop pair for both players. One knight. We see a lot of positions like this. This was a d4 opening, I believe. The knight comes back to a6. It might go to c7. This knight comes to attack this square, the important square that defends the base, and the knight comes out to attack the queen. The queen is forced to move. Both players playing. Yeah, Shankland, you see, plays really fast in the opening. And then Hess plays fast in the middle game until like the critical position, and then he spends way too much time and like loses because time is a factor. This bishop is pretty sweet. I like this position for Shankland. I think that I think this is a good position for White here. Looks like White has a lot of space, and this fianchetted bishop is pretty good. But it'll be hard to finish your opponent. Oh, he does play the e5 move already. I didn't expect it so soon. This bishop is attacking the king side as well as threatening pawn up. The knight defends the queen. He's going to try to exchange the bishops. That makes sense to me. That looked like a pretty terrifying bishop there on e5. I am getting real tired, guys. I am commenting as hard as I can, and yeah. So the rook moves to the center. The knight moves to the center. It's good to centralize your pieces, folks. That is what we are learning. So pretty fast game. This pawn is a past isolated pawn, which just creates a dynamic. It's not really good or bad. I mean, it's good because it's passed, but it's bad because it's isolated. So it just depends on if the pawn falls or if the pawn can continue, and that's very much dependent just on the individual position. It's often good, it's often bad. The queen moves to f4. Now the rook is on the same file as the queen. I've been talking about this in a lot of the games. You just want to set that up. Just trust me. So now the pawn is taken. The bishop takes. He can't take queen takes, because then this bishop falls. So he has to take back with the pawn. Now you can take, and take if you want. Or you can let him take. Which seems worse. Oh, but the knight will fall. That's why the knight comes to d6, setting up sort of a checkmating idea. Like if bishop takes, he might just play knight here, which would be sick. The knight can't take because there's a pin of the rook, because just as I was talking about, the rook is on the same file. So if takes, then I think he's going to play knight f5, and then if knight takes, and if not, then knight here. This looks like a checkmate, like queen takes, and then checkmate, or knight check, king over, queen over, check, checkmate. That's like what you try to do. So both players have about 1.5 minutes. I think we might see an exciting knight f5 if we can, but black is thinking, how can he counter a very powerful knight f5 move? Do I move my queen? Do I play f5? Decides to play f5 so that after knight takes, then the queen can take, maybe. I don't know. Oh, f5 is, yeah. Very interesting. Queen takes h6. I'm afraid for the black king. This knight is awesome. It's like, it's only defended by the queen. It's defended very dynamically rather than statically. And it's almost kind of, I mean, it can't really like move towards the king side unless it can capture here. But that's okay. Like, you just, now knight takes is devastating. Because, like, the knight can't take back. The knight's pinned. Oh, the knight can take back because in this case, it's still pinned, but knight takes, then you take the queen, I take your queen, you take one of my rooks, I take back. Then black has a knight left. So that just loses a piece. But the rook did move here, so now the knight was able to take the rook, but there's a check. And the f3 square is weak. This is another check that can there's queen move. The queen checks, which is interesting. The knight could have been able to prevent that. Oh, that's not a check. That's just attacking the rook. The king isn't checked. So the king is going to be forced to move. The king is very exposed, but it looks like the key squares are overprotected for the moment. Rook comes down. That is a dangerous rook. I am concerned for Hess. It looks like check is going to be played. No, he can't play check. It's defended once by the queen. This queen is just defending his own rook, which then the rook isn't attacked yet. This knight is pinned by this rook. This is a close game. Shankland seems to be in a think. 30 seconds to 35 seconds. It seems like time could be a factor. The rook sacrifices to take the knight, and he plays f3. That's crazy. Stuff is going on that is deep. The pawn is able to push. Maybe it's just a blunder. It looks like this pawn is really good. Only 19 seconds. He moves his queen back to blockade the passed pawn. That rook takes knight couldn't have been good. It couldn't have been good. It was pinning the knight. The knight was weak, and it just couldn't have been good. The f3 falls. Here's check, but the king comes up. Rook moves. He doesn't have mate because the queen defends the h6 square with the rook. But the rook does come down here. The queen moves here. He's got some checks with the queen, but not... He could check, but then the rook is able to defend. It's all about tempo. Rook blocks, I think. Now what do? He's threatening, like, basically to win. Exchanges. He needs to check his opponent. Shankland is up on time, though. He's almost double the time. But he has to resign because he's getting mated, like, immediately. Check, king here, rook check, king here, queen check, 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 mate.